Okay, so before you say anything, I know it looks horrible. I don't know what I was thinking. I just I don't know. I just went for it. I'll grow it back as soon as I can. But what I want to talk about today is something that I think has kind of haunted me ever since I really started this channel and this content, and that's that I felt very directionless. In that for a while I wanted to be more like the people I saw on YouTube. I wanted to be like these people who've now kind of fallen off. I wanted to be more like, someone like a Hamza or, First Man or something like that. And then I kind of changed my mind. I kind of said, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should stop making these videos. And then I kind of am getting back into it a little more. But I realized that the problem is I don't really have a clear vision, right? And that's a huge problem because I think that it led to a lot of sort of not being sure and a lot of hesitation, and that's no good. So what I did recently was I used to talk all the time about gratitude journaling. Well, this is, I don't know what you would call this, but it's, a different kind of journaling. And it was basically a bunch of questions that I asked myself to really get into what what I wanted out of this, out of my whole life, and how what I'm doing now sort of, feeding into that. And so I think that it's super helpful, and I feel like it's going to help me already. And I might even make a follow-up video just because I think that this is something that I need to go into more detail with, and I don't think I'm done with this. This kind of journaling, this kind of self-discovery on what I actually want, right? Because in life, I think that a lot of people, in fact, most people, really go into their whole life where they're relatively young and they just need to figure it out, right? And, and a lot of mistakes are made when you're just figuring things out, and that's fine. But I think for me, this has really helped. So I think that this could kind of minimize that. And so these are first the questions that I asked myself. So the first thing I asked myself was, how much money do I want? What are the details of my life setup? And what I meant by life setup was literally just like, the very sort of material kind of, what do I have? What kind of house do I live in, right? Very material. And that's kind of an idea I got from watching people like First Man a little bit. If you know who Iman Gaji is, I'll put both those people on the screen right now, just to give you an idea of who's who. And so that brings me on to my second one, which is, how do I want to be seen, right? I think that especially because I'm making content, I'm not going to say that, you kind of have to bullshit people, but I am saying that you have to frame yourself and almost create a character. Okay, so maybe you have to bullshit people a little, but but I think that I think everyone that is relatively successful making, content seems to do this. There's not a whole lot of genuinely authentic people that make, you know, especially self-improvement content. I think that it's all fabricated. And to a certain degree, I think that's actually fine. I think that very few people are going to be completely comfortable with how they see themselves. And you have to keep in mind, you know, depending on what you're exposed to when you're young, in terms of media, you are going to be framed to be a certain way. And maybe you weren't meant to be that way. So I think that, making that sort of known is pretty, clear to, your goals, and especially for someone that actually makes content. And it's also super important, I think, just for, I guess, finding out what is the kind of person you need to be, right? Because that's also kind of what I was asking with that question. So number 3 was, what should I be able to do? And this one I was thinking a lot about, money, like, what should I, be able to do in terms of, like, get out of certain, not that I want to be like a billionaire, like I want to be above the law or something, but just really just like, what can I, do? What do I want to be able to do? Do I, want to go back to running? Just like, again, very superficial things. But yeah, and I don't know, maybe I should actually answer, what I wrote down for each. That might help. But number 4 was, who do I want to be? Again, kind of going back to, how do I, very similar to how I want to be seen, but more, again, not like, you're lying to people, but just, how do you want to be in terms of personality? How do you want to see yourself, your self-identity, right? Because there is a difference. And so 5, I put down just, what will all of this take? And then 6 is, where do I need to be short term? Those 2 are kind of similar. Maybe I could have made them one question. But I think that this journaling has really, really helped out. And I would highly recommend it. I'll leave a picture up of what questions I asked myself. I'm starting to forget what my answers even were, but I think that definitely, I might even make another video about this, just because I think that's really good stuff. And it would feel like a bit of a disservice just to kind of stop here. Just some of the things that I've kind of figured out, I really am not ready to just go out there. Like, I feel like I need more. So that's kind of, I believe, episode 3 of Restarting Self-Improvement. I'm trying to really pump out some more volume. Right? I like the idea